Hi, everyone. I'm Sreenivasan. I'm the president of SAJA, the South Asian Journalists Association, and I'm delighted to be with all of you today. Thank you for coming to the SAJA virtual event. We try to do one virtual event every month so that we can reach our members and friends around the country and around the world. And if you have questions or comments about our programming, we'd love to talk to you about it and to get you involved with SAJA. SAJA is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, and we're going to have a big conference along with a gala awards dinner, opening reception on October 11th and 12th in New York City. Please check out saja.org, and we've put out a proposals pitch form, and if you would like to pitch something to us, so that you can be part of the conference, to present at the conference, please let us know. We're going to have all the usual keynotes, panels, workshops, and we want it to be as helpful as possible. And this workshop is just an example of the kind of things that we are bringing to our audience. And we're going to do some great virtual events in the next 2 months. Divya Karthikeyan, who is on the SAJA board and is a member in Louisville, Kentucky, is spearheading that. So watch for information for events coming up in July and August, and we'll be doing them throughout the year. So today our session is on LinkedIn and how to use it better and smarter and make sure that we're able to take advantage of it, to optimize our use of it. I find that people use LinkedIn, but don't always use it as well as they could or optimize the use of it. And so we're going to share a whole lot of tips. Even though we're calling this advanced, it's always good to go through some of the basics. And we'll also look for volunteers who are willing to have their LinkedIn critiqued publicly. It'll be very gentle, but the idea is, of course, to take your LinkedIn to the next level. And so it always helps to talk about it and to look at it together if we can. First thing I want to do is just show you some things that I'm doing on my LinkedIn, and we'll use that as an excuse to talk about your LinkedIn. And the whole idea of these, as you know, is that the more we can look at things together, we can learn from each other's accounts, the better it is. Right here, this is my LinkedIn. And one of the things that I tell everybody to look at is their public profile and URL right here on the right side. Make sure it's personalized as much as you can, customized, so that in my case, you can see it says here, it's linkedin.in/Srinivasan. You're unlikely to get that because your name may be more common than mine, and or you're looking at it late, but make sure you customize it. And it can be something like Jane Writer or Jane USA or Jane New York. It can be something, but that's also easier for you to remember when you're sharing it. Also really important is the LinkedIn image here, right? There are two images. One is the header image, and in this case, we commissioned a designer to come up with a banner that we could give to all our team members at Digimentors, my company. And so this is the one we chose. So you can create your own, of course. In Canva, there is one for LinkedIn with the LinkedIn specifications. And of course, your photograph is really important. And my photo needs to be updated. Many people have told me, Sree, you're looking a little too young here. It's only, I said, it's only from 2007. No, that's too long ago. You need to update it. And so I'm going to work on fixing that. A couple of things you may have noticed. One is this thing that they have here where you can have your voice recorded so that people can pronounce your name. So when you click on this, it should pronounce
Sree Srinivasan. Sree, like in Sri Lanka.
So something like that you can do very easily. Look at also what they're showing you. It says when you last updated your photo. That's a new thing that they've put in. And when the contact information has been updated less than 3 months ago. These are all useful things for you as you're dealing with folks. There's a way for you to verify your profile, and I encourage you to do that. I have not done it because one of the things it wants is your full name, and my full name is Sreenath Srinivasan, but I go by Sree Srinivasan. So if you change your name or use a shorter version of your official name, then you cannot verify it. But I do encourage you to verify it if you can. That's fairly easy to do. So please go and do that. If you verified, let me know what your experience has been once you verified that and what are the benefits of verifying. So you can see that it shows that there. The other thing that's new is this fundraising, this top voice. It comes from the AI efforts where they ask you to write something or give in information, contribute to articles, collaborative articles. I find those kind of interesting. I did this just to see how could I get one of these top fundraising voices, ones you could pick many different things, and then you can do that. Uh, Part of it is, I mean, I did it just for fun, but to see how it works. But to keep it, you have to kind of keep contributing, right? This is the way for them for you to be engaged, to create free content for them, and in exchange for this badge, it may not be worth it. So definitely think about that as you're going through this. So we can talk more, and we'll look at other profiles when we get started. But here, I just wanted to show you some specific things on my profile. The other thing I wanted to show you was on my network. So when you go to my network here, as you can see, Salma has accepted my invite. So that's great. So now we're connected. And here you're starting to see how other people come across. And I think it's really important whenever you can, when you're asking for a link, to customize it, to put in a personalized note when you can, because that makes a difference. It really helps you make a case for why someone should connect with you. Look at this. I get so many, and it's so hard to keep track of all of them. And if they would just put in something, I think it would be great. Here, somebody talks about at least what they're doing. They're selling something, of course. I want to reach out to see if you'd consider me for an AI or IT role at your company. I don't have any roles, but at least he said that. And he did something very unprofessional here. He said, "Hi, Cheta." Cheta is Malayalam for Big Brother. So, why he would call me Big Brother, I don't know him. We have no connection. Why he would do that, very odd. So watch out for that. You're also seeing all these people inviting you to follow pages that you may not want to follow or you don't care about. So here's somebody who I gave a workshop in Istanbul on Sunday, and he was kind enough to host my session. So I met there. So I'm going to hit accept, of course, and then go in. And here's his brother. They connected here. And then Sita says, "Hi, I noticed you're connected to Mukul, who's a very good friend." Accept, right? So you see the difference when you put in this kind of information. It makes such a difference. And then you can write back and put in a note. So just something you can think about as you're doing these. All these others where there's nothing, it's problematic and it's hard to keep track. All right, so let's get into the presentation and the slides here. We have about 45 minutes of content here, including Q&A. So here is my LinkedIn presentation. You can see the QR code there, and you can also see the URL for the presentation, and we'll send the presentation to everybody who attends along with the recording tomorrow. And you can find all my information. You know how to find me, so that's all here. We call it my Think in LinkedIn workshop. Reminder about SAJA and everything we're doing, and we're looking for proposals. So please join us October 11th and 12th. We'd love to see you here. One of the things I always talk about when teaching is always be charging, always be connecting, always be collecting. Charging, of course, charging all our equipment. Connecting is using tools like LinkedIn to connect. Every speaker you attend, every event you attend with a speaker, every cocktail party you go to, you collect business cards, you email them, but connect on LinkedIn. You're seeing the value of LinkedIn. And then always be collecting is collect little bits of things that jump out at you at presentations like this. Either take a picture or with your camera or a screenshot and keep that with you. It's a way to learn and continuously learn as you are working on the skills to keep improving what we're doing. For those of you who've never met me before, I've been teaching for a long time, 30 years, and I used to have hair at one point, and now I teach a lot of AI workshops, including and LinkedIn now as well. One of the things I always think about at this time when there's so much trouble in various industries and jobs are there's so much job loss. I think about this line from one of my students, Norm Green, class of 1996 at Columbia, who said, "We do some jobs for money and some for the honor and privilege of doing the work. If we get to do both, we're lucky." And I love that concept. And those of us who are in our roles, we do it because we love what we do, and that's important. When I was at the Met, by the way, I put that on the back of a business card and put it there. When I was at the Met, people would ask me, "Hey, do you have QR codes next to every painting? Wouldn't that be great?" And I said, "No, Americans hate QR codes." And now you can see all the QR codes I have. That's because Apple improved its QR code reader and the pandemic happened and people started using QR codes. I have a Linktree link in the middle that you can use as well. And then you can, of course, all the other platforms are here too. Um, as I think about LinkedIn, I think about the importance of storytelling for what you're trying to do, right? Your LinkedIn is really about a story, and the most important story of all, your story, and how you tell it, where you tell it, what happens is all part of how you use LinkedIn. When I was at the Met, I was the chief digital officer. I ran a 70-person team. I loved every minute at the Met. I can't tell you how many times I thought, "Oh my God, I get paid to do this. This is so wonderful." Well, 3 years in, I didn't get paid anymore. They asked me to leave. So I went on Facebook and said, "I lost my job. Tell me what to do next." I use LinkedIn also, obviously. And we got a lot of attention, including the PBS NewsHour did an 8-minute story on me, followed me from 6:30 in the morning to 7 at night to watch it. This crazy guy who's talking about losing his job. Now a lot more people do it. What I did on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 20, and nobody should ever do it. But most people, when they lose their job, do a 2, and they shouldn't do that either. So a 6 to 7 is what most people should do when they're looking for work. And we, unfortunately, all of us know people who are looking for work. I hope you will send them this recording, you'll send them the presentation so that they can benefit from the kind of things we're talking about here today. Let me just go back in here. And so as you're thinking about jobs, I have a 200 post Twitter thread of thoughts on job hunting careers, including some LinkedIn stuff in that QR code you see there. More than 1 million people have seen those tweets over a 5-year period. So please do check that out. Apart from your story, one of the things that you're really telling is the story of your brand. And this quote is really interesting. Your brand is not what you say it is, it's what they say it is. And you had very little control over your brand until social media came along to really help you bolster the kinds of things you want to talk about, the kinds of things you want people to know about you. So please keep that in mind as you're looking at all of these. And I see Divya is here and she says, "I'm a reporter and SAJA board member. I'm terrible at LinkedIn and it's time to change that." So thank you for being here. Make sure you all connect with each other. I know you will benefit from getting to know each other here as well. Let's see. So branding affects your work life, right? Job hunting is emergency mode. We want you to think about career management instead. I want you to think long term, think strategically about job hunting. And everybody needs a board of advisors, as if you are a nonprofit or a company, and in some ways you are. And a board of advisors who you turn to, you connect with, but you've got to use them and be in touch with them. And it's a two-way street where you're sharing information and you're connecting with them, and then activating your network. One of the reasons I was able to survive my very high-profile job loss was because of my network. On the worst day of my life, I got this global digital hug. I gave people a Google form to fill in, and more than 1,000 people filled in the form. Some good ideas, some awful ideas, but just really wonderful to hear and see everybody who was with me at that time. So it was just really nice to connect with everybody. So activate your network as much as you can. Think about doing that in what you're doing. So just think about that, and that's LinkedIn is part of all of this. So why are we talking about LinkedIn now? And this is the answer from one of my newsletters, because because Twitter has been ruined by Elon Musk and all the other Twitter substitutes, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, etc., have just not caught on. Threads has to some point, but by the way, anyone who is running away from Twitter because Elon Musk is a horrible person, know that if you're running to Threads, you're running to a product from Mark Zuckerberg. So that's got he's got his own problems and idiosyncrasies. So really understanding that the reason why this is a LinkedIn moment is because of the meltdown that's happened in social media. On Facebook, the value of Facebook's gone down as the groups aren't working as they used to. Organic reach on all of these platforms is really plummeted. And that's where LinkedIn, which has been kind of around for a long, long time, is now like here and available. And that's why people are paying so much attention to LinkedIn after a long time. Let me show you, I'm just going to show you my first article that I wrote on LinkedIn was exactly in 2006, 18 years ago, day after tomorrow. This Saturday will be 18 years since I wrote this piece about LinkedIn and trying to convince people that LinkedIn is useful. And we talked about how you can use LinkedIn and I had to explain first degree connections, second degree connections, all of this. At that point, I had 317 direct connections that resulted in 43,000 second degree connections and 1 million third degree connections, right? So that was just even though I only had 317 connections. Now I have many, many more than that, but it gives you a sense of the exponential connections you have on LinkedIn. Here are some things I asked people to talk about LinkedIn. And as you will see here, a lot of the people who are using LinkedIn were very wary because if you use LinkedIn, if you posted on LinkedIn, people would know that you were looking for a job. That was what LinkedIn was all about. Today, I think LinkedIn is very different. It's much more about careers. Your office might want you to use LinkedIn. So there's a different kind of situation with LinkedIn than we had before, and that's something to think about. Here's somebody in 2006 who was saying, "I hire all my new freelancers this way," which is really interesting. And here's again, I first was getting contacted with people I wasn't interested in, but lately the connections have been more useful. 2006, and that shows you that there are advantages of using if you've been on the platform a long time, there's an advantage. But now if you double down on LinkedIn and use it in smart ways, you will have a lot of opportunity to succeed and improve how you're using it. So whenever I ask who's on LinkedIn, everybody raises their hand, but how do you optimize it? And that's the advanced part that we're going to be talking about. I love this cartoon from Tom Fishburne, who says the 7 types of LinkedIn requests. I notice we have blue shirts in common. Let's connect. Or do you have 15 minutes to talk to a total stranger? I'm not going to pay you, but please talk to me, right? Or a buzzword artist or a lead generator. I run a team that can help whatever it is that you do. They have no idea what you do. So why am I showing you this? Please don't be any of these people, right? Be somebody who uses LinkedIn in a professional way, in a way that is, the common sense in real life is also common sense on social media. So just what are the common sense ways to use your LinkedIn, to be who you are, be authentic, be natural. Don't fake it, and you will do well on LinkedIn. But don't be these people for sure. If you recognize any of these people, feel free to tell us if you've seen folks like this in what you're seeing on there. As we think about LinkedIn, we want to think about the pros and cons, and also looking at it to understand what are the limitations of it, especially the free version. I'm a fan of LinkedIn, obviously, as you can tell. I'm a fan to the point where I encourage everybody to pay for it if they can afford it. And remember, you can pay for it for 1 month and then turn it off. So you can have it for a couple of months, turn it off, turn it back on, and move up and down. And if you can only afford to do that, it's probably the price of, I think it's like $25 a month right now. So don't quote me on that. Someone can tell me what the amount is, and worldwide it'll be different pricing. But that's worth it if this is a part of your career management strategy. And I always say LinkedIn is underappreciated, and you can see all these people quoting me saying LinkedIn is underappreciated. But what makes this an advanced session? What makes an advanced session is we're going to talk about specific things that you can do that you can control that can help you be better on LinkedIn, but there are also things you can't control. But if you put out good content, good people will see it. That's one of the benefits of LinkedIn. People will come to it. Here, this was several years ago. I did not know the CEO of the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, and she saw something I wrote, posted it on LinkedIn, and connected and said thank you. This is so amazing. Who does that, right? Well, that's what you can do on LinkedIn. If you are putting out good, compelling content, that's the number one thing that you want to be doing, is posting content that people want to read more, want to understand more, etc. And you can see you get all kinds of data when you pay for LinkedIn that you don't get otherwise, right? So this is important and useful for you as you're looking at LinkedIn. There are also things that can happen with LinkedIn where I wrote a piece about what do you think about when people have a Hotmail address and suddenly a whole bunch of people saw this and 383,000 impressions on this one post, which is a lot for me. But it just shows you how thoughtful things, provocative things, doesn't have to be clickbaity things, but interesting things that people think about can be here. I want to encourage you to, this is my wife, Rupa. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. She uses the newsletter format of LinkedIn, and I encourage all of you to check that out as a possibility for yourself. Do you have something, even if you post, she says here it's monthly, but she posts like 3 times a year. It just gives you a kind of deeper connection to the people who really want to see your work. And her 2,000 subscribers all get an email alert and a notification inside LinkedIn. That's why it's worth it. This was about our recent trek to Machu Picchu and all that she learned doing that at 15,000 feet. They also have here, if you notice, the open immersive reader, which you may not have seen. And what this allows you to do, let me see if I can play this for you, is the immersive reader here, when you go in like this, you click on that, and it actually reads you the article. So if you have someone you want to read, this is...
It must have been the middle of the 3rd day of our trek, about 15,000 feet above sea level. For context, Everest Base Camp is a little over 17,000.
So that's another feature inside LinkedIn that most people aren't using and aren't keeping track of. So something you can check out there as well. So as we think about LinkedIn and where it fits in with all the traffic and where everything is going, there's only one professional network. And that's why, for those of you who are still hesitating to put in the effort on LinkedIn, even after all of these years, please do. Now, let's take a look at the top social media platforms, top social networks. When you look at this, there's one thing you'll notice is something is missing. You'll see Pinterest at the top. You'll see Twitter here, Facebook at 3 billion. Amazing, right? And think of all the platforms that are owned by Zuckerberg: Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram are all owned by Zuckerberg. But here's what happened. Even this Statista chart forgot LinkedIn. How is that possible? I see this all the time. People forget LinkedIn. When I say it's underappreciated, this is what I mean. And LinkedIn recently crossed 1 billion users. But people forget LinkedIn. When you're creating a list like this, how can you do that? It is so irritating that that happens. So what are we trying to do with LinkedIn, and what are the things that we want to improve in our use of LinkedIn? People around you are going to get lots of opportunities to help you, but will they? Do they know what you do? How are you using it? Those are things to kind of think about. This is a fun way to look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn, like comparing LinkedIn to different platforms. So here's other social media. On Spotify, I'm listening to Donuts. Anyone want a donut? On WhatsApp, but here on Donuts on LinkedIn is, I hope to operate a donut franchise. I'm looking for a job at a donut company. I have 3 years experience marketing donuts. My top skills are donut production and sales. Here are 3 recommendations from former donut colleagues, right? That's the difference in LinkedIn versus other platforms, and something for you to think about as you're posting. I got a question earlier today about the idea of how to use LinkedIn in terms of connections. And here this is my advice, and it's been my advice for years, is that connect with people you already know, people you would like to know, or people you should know on LinkedIn. That's how I see this. So um, it I still say to do this because the weaker the connections you connect to, it has a cascading effect across the network, right? So people you already know, people you should know, people you'd like to know. Uh, Not everybody follows this, and that's why we find so many bad connections on LinkedIn. So you can do a good job by just connecting to people, one of these three categories. If they send you a request, do they fall into these three categories? If you're connecting, do they fall into one of these three categories? That's what I would recommend you do with LinkedIn. Um, I encourage you to focus on the photo, the headline, the about section, and the featured section. These are really important. So I'm going to just jump in here. Again, most of you know these, but it's always good to be reminded. I'm just going to go into my profile here. Under view profile, let's see, here we go. So you have the about section. My about section is probably too long. As you can see, it is too long. But one of the things I want to show you is the value of putting those white spaces here, right? I think it's important. It helps your eye jump from one to another. The other thing that's useful is a question that people have. Do I write it in third person or first person? I prefer to write it in third person because people often will cut and paste it when doing an intro or sharing my profile. So it's good to have it in third person. And that way you control it more than when you do it in first person, but it's up to you. It really depends on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to convey. So this is what we call the headline. Make sure it is up to date and accurate. And your about section, look at it every few weeks. A couple of months, just look in. Is there things I can change? Can I update it? Can I make it better? What can I do? You should be thinking about that. And then the featured section, again, I don't think enough people use it, is a place where you can put in anything that is on the internet. That is, you can upload something, or if it has a URL, you can link to it. So here I link to some of my workshops, my SAJA news, some of the shows we've done, but you can link to anything on the internet. I even have here, if I can find it, I have here my grad school recommendation letter from my boss who wrote it in 1992. That's here somewhere, which is kind of shocking. But I recommend you don't have to do that, but just think of the documents you want to save, the documents you want to have. These are great place to put them in the featured section, and you can move them up and down, and you can arrange them and all of that. So definitely think of that when you're doing this, right? And then on the resume section, obviously you want to focus on the jobs, education. There's also the awards and interests, and uploading PDFs and post links. You can put things in the featured section, but you can also put them after every job. When I look at job listings, I find that a lot of people or in their job section, they don't put the job. What did they do at each stage, at each point? What was the work that they did? Even if it's just 2 bullet points for every job. First of all, it'll help you remember your trajectory, but also help others as they're trying to understand you. My goal with my LinkedIn is, can people get a full picture of me before they even meet me? It might be a reporter doing a story. It might be a client or a would-be client or anything else, or somebody wants to hire me. That's how I look at it. And so using all of these to be a well-rounded person is something you can do. Here's the importance of having great headshots, right? Here are two friends of mine, Simon S. Tam and Cons Preddy. Please make sure you have a great professional headshot. It looks professional. It may not even be by the professional camera. You can take one now with a modern smartphone, take a really good photograph. Lighting, of course, matters. And here I'm just showing you Satya Nadella's, because he is the CEO of Microsoft, who paid $26 billion for LinkedIn. And the about section here is very simple. I define my mission of my company as empowering every person, every organization on the planet to achieve more. And here he puts in his experience. Obviously, he's not doing all the things we're recommending. But one of the things that I also want to show you, and this is something that I show, especially folks who are thinking about college, you look at, where he went to undergrad in a college in India that nobody here would know. Almost no one here, meaning among US recruiters, would necessarily know what that is. It's really about the work you do. It's about the classes you've taken. All of that matter, not just where the most famous place that you went to is not important. And here he is as CEO of Microsoft. I'm a big believer in the recommendations of LinkedIn, and they're different from endorsements, right? There's recommendations and endorsements, and you can ask for them in real time when finishing a project. When you do that, then people they remember what it is you did for them. So that's why it's important. So here, let me show you. I know that I go in here and I want to figure out, let's see here. So Anusha is here with us. She's the Dean of Career Services at Columbia Journalism School. And I can go into her profile and I can ask her for a recommendation right in the system. I don't have to ask for it outside the system. I can request a recommendation like this. So I go in here and I pick, what is my connection? Whatever it is, I put that in here. And then what was my role at the time? And then I can say, hey, Anusha, please write me a recommendation. Here are 3 things you liked about the work I did for you, something like that. And everyone, please mute your phones, mute your Zoom, please. And then you can actually, it helps them remember why they're connected with you. And remember, it doesn't have to be just a boss. It can also be peers. It can be people below. A 360 view is useful because if someone's hiring you, they want to know, what are you like as a colleague? What are you like as a boss? Things like that. And skills and endorsements really are also important. There was a time when we used to joke about skills, like, touch typing was on there. But now skills and endorsements really matter, and skills especially matter because they show you they affect how you are shown to these computers that are doing the first level cuts for jobs. So let me show you what I mean by that. Here are 2 candidates based on the skills when you're applying for a job. So in one, there are 3, and one, there are 6. Which one do you think is going to get the next level connection or get the call? It's going to be the one on the right. Well, here's something interesting. These are both me. One thing you can do is when you're applying, if you're a premium member, you can tell where you rank and what skills match and what don't. So you can adjust your skills, right? You have 50 skills you can use, so you can adjust them. That doesn't mean you want to keep changing them or anything like that, but as long as they're accurate, you can adjust them for particular jobs. Folks, please get your questions ready. We're going to come to you with questions so that you can ask questions in just a moment. Next thing is really, how are you sharing? How are you putting your content, right? You can do it as a status update, which gets more views, or write articles like a blog. And you can write a newsletter, right? That's even another way to do it. So really think about what you're trying to do. If you're not sure what to post, this is what I tell people. If you think of Instagram and Facebook are for showing off your life, LinkedIn is for showing off your expertise and your interests. Again, oh, I'd like to work with this person. I'd like to have her on my team. That's what you want people to have when they look at your content. What are you posting? What are you reposting? What are you liking? All of that matters. I think that it's worth getting a paid account. You get more access to data. You get LinkedIn Learning. There's all kinds of benefits to getting a paid account. I already mentioned that. So here are a couple of ways to look at when you're applying for a job, right? So here, the head of digital engagement for the royal household. Several people had told me I should apply for that. That would be funny to put a former member of the Indian colony of the British Raj in charge of this. Like the sabotage potential would be enormous. But here you can see that it shows me I'm in the top 25 of 1,200 applicants. 1,200 applicants. That's amazing. And it shows you here's your past experience because I have that digital engagement role, my skills at 80%, my current role is only 60%. So that's so interesting. And now you can see how the machines think when they're deciding who to promote. So that's something that you'll definitely want to spend some time on. Also in my presentation, when you get it, is this LinkedIn study of how businesses and brands are using LinkedIn. And they looked at 41,000 professional accounts and 1.5 million posts. They talk about what is the best time of day to post, what is the average number of posts to publish to increase impressions, what posts get the most impressions. So you just come in here, click, and you'll get all of those answers. It's a deep study and it's worth it. One of the things they tell you is don't just keep posting randomly. Be deliberate and you will be more successful. So being deliberate about what you're doing makes a difference. Of course, you know some of this already. I wanted to show you a tool that I do not use yet. I'm going to investigate this, which talks about an all-in-one LinkedIn tool for creators. By the way, everyone should turn on creator mode inside LinkedIn. If you do that, they will suggest AI posts. AI will suggest posts that you can use for creating content. What should you be looking for? What are popular topics right now? What's trending, etc. So some of that is done by this tool. Again, I don't use it, but they have they talk about what they can do. So
hello, and I hope you like my Christmas jumper. Are you tirelessly posting on LinkedIn but feeling like you're not being heard? Rarely more than 30 likes per post, less than 10 comments, never more than 10,000 impressions. You might think that the more you post, the more you'll succeed, or that you should just use ChatGPT to write all your posts. Many find this approach leads to minimal engagement and plenty of missed opportunities. Believe me, it doesn't work. What if the real game changer is a strategic tool that transforms your LinkedIn efforts? And that's where Taplio comes in, your key to unlocking LinkedIn's full potential and what I've been using to get 25,000 followers in just 9 months. Here's how you can do the same. So let's start with the Chrome extension. Juggling your LinkedIn activities can be overwhelming, from crafting posts to tracking performance. Taplio's Chrome extension simplifies this by allowing you to see top performing posts and quick analytics. This means that you'll be able to get ideas for your own content in 2 or 3 seconds. And if you're doing outreach, personalized based on content someone has created themselves.
Okay, so you get the idea. Again, I'm not endorsing it, but this idea of being more strategic with your LinkedIn, I think, is important. And the LinkedIn, this Chrome extension from this tool gives you some free information that you can check out in case you find that helpful. So I'm going to pause here. We have about 15 minutes left. First, I want to get any questions from the audience that I'm going to just check out and see what are some of the questions that have come in. And then I'm going to look for volunteers who are willing to have me look at your, to critique your LinkedIn in a public manner. So if you are up for it, please let us know. So let me pause that here and go to the chat. And let's see, any questions here? Let's see. Oh, Anusha says I can use hers. But first, let me see if there are any questions here from anybody. Yeah, everybody just wants to use it better. Salma was asking, what are the advantages of creating a LinkedIn group? I use alumni affairs at CUNY's J School, and we're considering a LinkedIn group. So you heard from Anusha at Columbia, they love it, and she uses it all the time. I found that I have a Facebook group of 10,000 members, and my Facebook, just my own posts get almost from 10,000, I get a reach of about 100, 200, 300 out of 10,000. I used to get 5,000, 6,000 regularly. The feeling we have about what's happening on Facebook is if you're not paying, you're not playing, right? So they want you to pay, and therefore we've seen a drop in Facebook analytics. In terms of LinkedIn, Anusha identified the opportunities there. People are more professional, but if they don't have notifications turned on, you may not reach everybody. So that's part of the problem. So what I would do is use your LinkedIn group and then connect it to your email outreach, also your social media outreach on other platforms, and remind people on a regular basis. And what Anusha has done is all job postings are on LinkedIn now. So that gives people a reason to check it out, and they want to do that. So that really helps. With bios, do I go to the mission statement-esque route as opposed to a list of everything I've done? I'd like to make clear to anyone looking at my profile how I approach my work in journalism. I think it's a great question. What I would do is think about your about section separately from your resume. Your resume is chronological. Your resume has restrictions because these are the things you've done. Your about section is your best current you, also your best aspirational you. You get to tell that story. You get to craft it because it's not just what you've done, but it's also who you want to be. You can talk about there and you can do that. How often do you post and how do you balance things that show off your expertise with your interests? Great question, Natasha. I think balancing that is not easy. I would say if you can post, 5 to 7 times a week, 3 to 5 to 7 times a week would be good. If you post too often, you'll step on your own content, right? The algorithm is not going to share your content widely. So try to post it once, about once a day, unless you're really prolific. And we'd gotten a question earlier about using photographs on there. How do I break up the monotony of my feed? Or is LinkedIn just going to be a place solely for self-promotion, thanking others and sharing tidbits of wisdom and work? It's all of those things, but I know someone who posts beautiful photographs on there and he gets a lot of engagement and then will occasionally post his own things that he's trying to promote. But really, you shouldn't be just promoting yourself all the time. Promote things that you find interesting. Be generous online. That really helps. There are 3 attributes of great digital communicators that I talk about in some of my other workshops. If you're taking my storytelling workshop, for example, and I talk about confidence, transparency, and generosity, right? Transparency, confidence, and generosity, meaning you talk about yourself, but rarely, but talk about more about other people, give resources out to folks, help people that way, and it will really be important. Anusha posts every day, so 7 times a week she's posting. So try to find that balance, see what works for you. There are no for sure answers. Let's see. Anusha says I can use her LinkedIn to critique her LinkedIn, so I'm going to do that, and then I will be happy to take questions. Any other questions? We have about 10 minutes left, so please jump in with any questions you might have. Let me discard, oops, sorry, here. Discard. Okay, so I'm going to go into my LinkedIn and then I'm going to share. And let's see here, we go into LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to go into Anusha and here she is. And I'm going to critique her. I'm sure it's going to be very, very good. We have 1,300 mutual connections, which tells you, how connected we are. She has 7,000 followers, which is a great number. These numbers don't matter really, but it's good to know. Here, Anusha, there's for some reason you've got Columbia Journalism School twice showing up. So I'm not sure why that is. You'll want to check that out and see why it's doing that. The other thing here, if we go in, let's see, contact information. I can go in and I can see when we connected, and that's we've been connected a long, long time. And you can see her email. I find so many people don't put another email. Put your non-work email in there, folks, so people can contact you who want to hire you. Definitely want to do that. And I don't know if this portfolio still works. I've not checked it out, but she has that there. And look, she has that customized URL, really important. She hasn't put in a birth date, which is of course fine. And here I would put in your pronunciation, Anusha. You have a name like mine that people will want to learn how to pronounce, so you can do that. And I wouldn't put in Short Hills because that might confuse people because they don't know that it's next to New York. I would put in Greater Metropolitan Area or New York City because that's where you work and that's what you do. And of course, you have the 500 connections. And then under more, there are all these things I can do, and I can see this profile. About the profile, contact and information was updated over a year ago. Profile photo was updated less than a month ago, and here's what she has verified. And I'd ask her to verify her name with her driver's license. She can do that. And that's a great photo of you, by the way, here. I think that works very well. And that background of Columbia works too. And of course, we would call her Dr. Anusha. And it shows me how we're connected. This is, Anusha, this is a lot of stuff here, no problem. But where's the white space, right? So just put in paragraph return, so you have white space. I don't mind having so much content, but you need the white space to break up the monotony. And then her featured section is really good. She has a lot of stuff here, images and things she wants to promote. So she's putting that in here, which is great. And then you can see she's active in the comments, videos, images, documents, all of these things you can do. And that's really useful. And I encourage you to see that. And then look how she shows her progress at the journalism school. And then in between, she was at the Maine University in the Department of Statistics, as you can see here, where, by the way, she brought me in to do LinkedIn workshops for her students, which I love doing, and I was grateful for the opportunity. And here you can see that's her TV appearance. You can put in things here as well, not just in the featured section at the top, but you can do featured section in here as well, and that really makes a difference. Look, you get a real full sense of who she is. Reporter, look at every stage she's putting things like that. I love that, Anusha. That's great. Here's all her. She's I guess you put in your results for your UGC exam for lectureship, and then some of the projects, which I think I love seeing projects here as well, volunteering, what she's done. She hasn't linked Anusha to the SAJA proper logo page, so make sure you do that. Your guest lecturer and skills. Look at all the skills. She has 54 skills. So I thought you could put only 50. So Anusha, the answer is 54, obviously. And look at these recommendations that she's gotten, that she's given. It's a great way. She's received 15 recommendations. And then I hope she's given a lot as well. And she's given 4. Anusha, I would raise the ones that you've given. And I know it's hard. This is true. We have someone from the Newmark School also. Our relationship with students, when you're a faculty member, when you're an advisor, you're a dean, it's really difficult. If you start giving recommendations, you'll have to give them all day long. Here are some of our publications, courses, languages. I love this. Organizations, interests. I would also put in causes. There's a section, Anusha, where you can put in causes as well. One thing I would do is check your top voices. Who are the people you're following? Do you want these people to be the ones that you're following? You know, I would just check and see. And they may be. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but just check. Are these the people you want at the top? And then companies. People say, I want to work for your company really badly. I say, oh, really? Let me look at your interest. You're not even following our company. So again, look at the list and see if these are the ones that you want. If you're a journalist, you have to be really careful about, you know, what this says about you and the companies you cover. So think about that. Here's a whole bunch of things under groups, newsletters, etc. So you can check that out as well. And she's subscribed to the SAJA newsletter, which I encourage all of you to do. And please follow SAJA, South Asian Journalists Association, fully on LinkedIn. We relaunched our LinkedIn. We had an old LinkedIn. It had thousands of people on there, but lots of people had nothing to do with SAJA, and it was all information pollution. So we killed it, and we launched a new one as South Asian Journalists Association. So let me pause here and let's get some questions. We can